Kylon looks like a UFO. And those. Gremlin on the road.
Barely see it, can you?
No, but you can actually. You can. Except that it's rather like the Faulty Towers and the Sea View experience. You have to climb on top of the wardrobe, and if you crane your neck and strain, you might see that blue spot in the left bottom corner. But the room is a freebie from the casino, so we can't complain. It's the Fallsview Resort and Casino. We have a full Fallsview room because I think they are all full Fallsview. But that doesn't actually mean that you get to see both falls. So here is what the Canadian horseshoe looks like from our window.
Yeah, but well, how did they make it so rainbow?
Good lord.
It's on it, darling.
We'll be back to summer in Quebec after the holidays. I just thought I'd put something seasonal up for a change. The hotel is open, the casino is open, the pool and the spa are not because of the current Ontario regulations whereby you have to be double vaccinated to enter a restaurant or a pool, but you can stay in a hotel with nothing at all. As always, I will show the public areas of the hotel first. The room review is at the end of the video, along with the 2 restaurants that we visited on this trip. Okay, go on. Okay, this time I'm in Niagara-on-the-Falls for some serious stuff. Not the tacky bits, not a water park, but 2 bits of history, and this is the first one. Oh yeah, Battle of Lundy slain, I know, some of you might say. The other 99.99% of you will say, what? Or more politely, excuse me? So let me give you a little bit of background. It is the summer of 1814, the tail end of a British-American war, which is a spin-off of the Napoleonic Wars in Europe. In Europe, by now, it's all over. Napoleon is on Elba. But here, the Americans make a last-minute attempt to move their borders west of the Niagara River. We have 4 main actors. On the American side, General Brown and General Scott, his second in command. Brown is by career a smuggler, which means he can make decisions. But once he has a plan, he can't let it go. Scott is a very good soldier, good commander, very educated, travels with his own library on the campaign, very full of himself. The opposite numbers on the British side are General Drummond and General Ryle. Drummond is rich in experience, poor in charisma, and at the moment he's in Kingston mustering reinforcements on the other side of the Lake Ontario. Ryle has been left on the Niagara on his own. He has seen some border raids, but no battle. And though no coward, he'd rather live than die. In the first week of July, Brown and Scott beat Royal at Chippewa and almost get to Lake Ontario. At which point they stop for 2 weeks for no better reason than that Brown has a plan and he wouldn't let it go. When he does, Royal is no longer outnumbered and General Drummond is on his way with reinforcements. 2 days before the battle, Brown decides to withdraw, regroup and march west on the main British garrison at the head of Lake Ontario in Burlington Heights. He fears that the British might cross the river and take all his supplies at Fort Schlossier, or that they might outflank him and cut him off. The hot-headed Scot wants to hurry, but Brown isn't quite ready. They delay for another day, and so on the morning of the 25th of July, the day of the Battle of Lundy's Lane, they are still there, just north of the falls. Hearing further rumours of an approaching British force, Brown decides to split his men and send Scott with half of them, about 1,200, back towards Lake Ontario to intercept the enemy force. What they don't know is that the enemy is already there. Royal has dug himself in on top of a hill at the junction of Lundy's Lane and another main road, the Portage Road, running along the river. These are General Drummond's orders, and General Drummond himself is about to arrive at the scene with serious reinforcements. Ignorant of all this, Scott trots off, and on his way, because it's a hot morning, he stops for a pint at Widow Wilson's tavern. Widow Wilson is a sort of a local Switzerland. Her tavern is open to both sides, she welcomes all paying customers and she provides information to all sides equally. And both sides tolerate this because otherwise it's a very long walk for a drink. But does that mean that Widow Wilson takes no sides? That is the million-dollar question. As Scott halts, some British officers are just leaving. "Oh dear sir, says Widow Wilson. Had you only come half an hour ago, you would have got them all. That was General Royal." She promptly tells Scott how many British are ahead, underestimating the number by more than half. Is she really misinformed? Or is she trying to make sure that Scott goes and that there is a battle and that war ends one way or another because it's bad for business? Not that, in my opinion, Scott needs the push. He is Scott. Scott doesn't go back. Chances are being outnumbered would only spur him on. But I guess you can never be sure when a man's self-preservation instinct might kick in. So, back in the tavern, Scott drinks up his pint and trots off. He does send a word about Widow Wilson's revelations to General Brown. Royal has already dug himself in on top of the hill, but now he sees Scott coming. This time, Royal is not outnumbered, even though he thinks this is the entire American force, not just half of it, coming for him. But they've already beaten him once, he doesn't like it. Quietly, he packs up and retreats. However, as he comes down the hill, he bumps into Drummond. "What do you mean?" says Drummond. "Get straight back up that hill." They only just make it before Scott and Brown arrive at the scene. And because of all these comings and goings, it is by now late afternoon. Deduct a couple of hours for some preliminary raids, and basically it's dark by the time the two armies finally engage. After this, it's all chaos and confusion and carnage, and these are the only things that can be said with any certainty. Both sides speak the same language with a variety of accents. Uniforms are, well, far from uniform, and it is pitch dark. Whole regiments battle their own forces, taking them for the enemy. By 11 o'clock in the evening, after 5 hours, everybody has had enough. 1,600 men died on both sides. The front line hasn't budged. Nothing has been lost or won. Both Brown and Drummond claim an overwhelming victory in the letters to their respective high commands. With Brown and Scott both severely wounded, the following morning the Americans withdraw and so it is considered a British victory, but don't be fooled. The British have not won, and neither have the Americans, and nobody will. This war is completely pointless, and it will end exactly where it began. But one person will win, and that person is General Scott. He will sing his own praises so loud and for so long that he will die 50 years later as the commander-in-chief of the American army and still the hero of Lundy's Lane. So there. Yes, the shaky picture was me shivering. So, time to move to another kind of war. The war of the currents. Because what we're about to see is an early result of it. The William Bridge Rankine power station, generating alternating current electricity. Now, for those of you who may not know or may not remember, the War of the Currents was a pretty brutal marketing war between two technologies. It made an awful lot of splash in the newspapers at the time. Everybody this side of the ocean was talking about it, I remember. No, just kidding, I don't actually remember. Anyway, it was 1890s, and on one hand Thomas Edison had his patented technology of generation and distribution of electricity as direct current. On the other hand, there was Nikola Tesla and George Westinghouse with their alternating current. Edison was on the market first, but his technology was expensive. Direct current doesn't go far, or at least with the then current technology it didn't. Feeling that he was about to lose, Edison set out to prove that the alternating current with its much higher voltage was not safe. But for all the dogs and horses and other animals that died in the process, the alternating current was easier and cheaper, and you didn't need a power plant every square mile. And so by 1895 it had won. And so the power plant that we're about to see generated alternating current at about 25 Hz and about 50 megawatt license capacity to begin with. Laughable by today's standard, but big thing back then. It opened in 1905, 9 years after Tesla's and Westinghouse first facility across the river on the American side of the Falls. It operated all the way until 2013. And only opened as a museum a few months ago, so it is quite new and fresh. I am generally fond of a power plant, but one like this, which generates the cleanest energy there is, where everything was designed to be functional and pleasing to the eye and work forever, is a thing of pure beauty. So I shall just be quiet and leave you to enjoy it.
Nice work, everyone. Not bad for rookies.
And at this stage, Nicola and I are going to say goodbye and go and find some hot coffee somewhere because it's freezing. Okay, yeah, that would be it, except there is still the room and the restaurant. So just very quickly. And the customary shot of a wrecked room. North America, so room's big, you wouldn't expect anything less. One small fridge, 3 drawers, 1 medium-sized TV. Caution, they make it very, very easy for you to buy a film. Gremlin did. 3 breakfasts. No, 3. That's 1 breakfast.
Smiley fries. This is, I asked for a smiley fry, then I did literally mean smile.
And that is it for today. A very Merry Christmas, everybody. Next week, one more snowy trip, and then we'll be back to Quebec.